We all go a little mad sometimes. Famous line from the classic 1960 Alfred Hitchcock film, and that's Psycho. And that's the film we're going to talk about today. A lot of you guys, especially from the younger generation, you may have saw the reboot on the film starring Vince Vaughn. However, today we're going to focus on the original, like I said, the 1960 masterpiece. And I just want to give you a little bit of information on this film. Psycho is a 1960 American psychological horror thriller film directed and produced by Alfred Hitchcock and written by Joseph Stefano. It stars Anthony Perkins, Janet Leigh, John Gavin, Vera Miles, and Martin Balsam. And again, it's based on a 1959 novel of the same name by Robert Bloch. The film centers on an encounter between the secretary, Marion, who ends up at a secluded motel after stealing money from her employer, and the motel's owner-manager Norman Bates, played by Anthony Perkins, and its aftermath. So this film is quite culturally significant in a lot of ways. Psycho is now considered one of Hitchcock's best films. It's praised as a major work of cinematic art by international film critics and scholars alike. Often ranked as one of the greatest films of all time, it set a new level for acceptability for violence, deviant behavior, and sexuality in American films. It is widely considered to be the earliest example of the slasher film genre. So obviously I just read that off of Wikipedia, but you guys catch my drift. So there's only so much I can talk about. I don't want this to be a drawn out, long review of the movie. I want you guys to check it out for yourself. I just want to sort of mention a few things that I think are important to mention, and then you guys can judge for yourself. Like, you guys can check it out. The film, a lot of people, again, do not realize it's actually based on a novel that came out in 1959. The thing about Psycho, a lot of the films from way back in the day, we're talking 40s, 50s, 60s, no matter how much they're critically acclaimed and praised by the public and critics alike, let's be honest here, a lot of these films, they don't hold up today. They just don't. They're extremely hard to watch. A few examples would be the original Scarface, not the one starring Al Pacino. There was actually an original Scarface. I tried to watch it. Old black and white movie. It just, again, it's very dated. Another one would be Citizen Kane. A lot of critics claim that's the greatest film of all time, and I do agree that it's obviously, it has its importance, obviously, but it doesn't hold up. You try to watch Citizen Kane now, and it's like snooze fest. That's just my opinion. But Psycho came out in 1960, and you could watch it now, and it's just as impressive now as it was back then. It looks so fresh. The acting is top notch in it. You don't feel like you're watching a dated movie from the 60s, which, in all honesty, was probably filmed in 59. And it's just masterclass in horror. It's one of the first horror films of all time. Like I said, it basically introduced the slasher genre from there on out. And the famous, curtain scene with the knife, it's been replicated so many times over the years. Something else that's really important about this movie, again, you have to watch it to understand. The music in this film, the way it ties into each scene, the score in this film, it's something to behold. I can't explain it. Like I said, this doesn't do it justice. I just sort of want to put this video out so you guys can get a little bit of a taste of what's to offer in this film, and hopefully it'll pique your interest and you'll go watch it. Now this film, like I said, it is black and white, and the funny thing about it is, Elephant Nerd, you can probably chime in, a lot of the old DVDs, when DVDs first hit the streets around 1998-99, it was all the rage. It's funny, have any of you guys popped in a DVD? An older, I'm talking one of the original DVDs that came in like a paper digibook. It's funny, you watch it now, the quality on some of those earlier DVDs is just as bad as the original VHS releases, if not worse. Which leads me to what I want to talk about here. I was never a real huge believer in Blu-ray. I was a very late adopter on Blu-ray. I'm like, no, that's just another version of DVD. What more could they have to offer? This is the Blu-ray that finally changed my opinion on what Blu-rays have to offer. Now, I went and bought this movie at Best Buy. Now, this was an exclusive steelbook to Best Buy. They had like a contest where people could send in their drawings, a reimagination of the original artwork for the film, and then one lucky person would get theirs chosen. So this is the one that they chose. Let me tell you, when you pop this Blu-ray in, the blacks, I know it's just a black and white film, you're thinking, how can a Blu-ray, what's it going to offer? The blacks and the whites and the way it bursts on the screen, it's unbelievable. This is just a YouTube video. I don't have my Xbox One up here to pop the Blu-ray in to show you guys, but stay tuned towards the end of this video. I'll have a surprise for you guys as well. So like I said, it's a phenomenal movie. The suspense is just incredible in it. Look at this scene. Look how incredible it looks. Like back then, nobody was shooting. There was no cinematography like that, with the exception of maybe Stanley Kubrick. Later on in the film, there's scenes where the wiper blades are going back and forth on the windshield of the car. There you go. The rain looks so amazing on the Blu-ray. It's absolutely incredible. It blows my mind. Again, one of the best films of all time. The film, it spawned a few sequels. Now, the funny thing is, Alfred Hitchcock, he died in 1980. God rest his soul. And then shortly thereafter, I think it was Paramount, they obviously jumped right in. You know, they got their hands in the cookie jar, and then right away started pumping out the sequels. I think it was 1982, we got Psycho 2, again starring Anthony Perkins. And then a couple of years later, in 87, I think we got a Psycho 3. And then I think we got one more in the early 90s as well, before Anthony Perkins had an untimely death. Now, a funny fact about Anthony Perkins, I don't want to go too off the map. I think his claim to fame was definitely Psycho. Up until his late 30s, he had always been extremely shy. Not much was known about his private life, but he was a gay man back in the day, back in the 60s. And again, it wasn't something that people publicized like they do now. And then in his late 30s, he actually ended up dating a woman for the first time, and he married her. And the woman that he married was a semi-famous photographer, and her sister was the main actress in the Stanley Kubrick film Barry Lyndon. So we won't go too far down that rabbit hole, but Anthony Perkins, he died in 1992. He was still married to her at the time. He died of HIV. Now you gotta remember, AIDS was all the rage in the mid to late 80s, so he somehow contracted the virus. I don't know if he was cheating on his wife, I don't know. So he passed away in 92. Now, the crazy thing about that, his wife, his widow, she passed away in September 11th, 2001. She was actually one of the passengers on the airplane in the 9/11 crash, if you can believe it. I'm not trying to glorify it. I'm just saying it's a small world for sure, and it's really unfortunate. But, like I said, Psycho, it's an incredible horror film. And also as well, I forgot to mention, there's so much trickery in this film that Alfred Hitchcock puts on the viewer with his camera work and his angles and the plot twists. You know, I'm not a huge fan of Alfred Hitchcock. In fact, I think this is the only Alfred Hitchcock film that I've ever seen. I haven't seen Vertigo. I think I have seen The Birds. So again, I haven't seen a lot of them. You got to remember too, he wasn't a spring chicken when he filmed this. He was already close to 60 years old, because in 1980, when he died, he was about 80 years old. So he filmed this. This is his most successful film of his career, and he shot it when he's at the age of 60. Put that in perspective. You got someone like Tarantino who's ready to wrap it up. He doesn't want to shoot any more films. And Tarantino's not even 60 years old yet. So it just kind of blows my mind. So, I mean, that's all I want to talk about. I know I didn't go too far into the story. I don't want to ruin it, because like I said, if I start to give away a lot of information on the backstory, it's going to ruin the experience, especially for a film like this. I really want you guys to check it out. So here's what I'm going to do for you. One lucky viewer, I'm going to put it in here It's the digital HD ultraviolet digital download that you can have. 3 easy steps. Just go to universaldigitalcopy.com, enter in this code that you see in this video here, follow the instructions, and then you can watch the movie on your TV, computer, tablet, or even your smartphone. So I'm going to leave that for you guys. Again, have you seen the movie Psycho? Leave it in the comments below. Have you seen the remake with Vince Vaughn? I have not seen that one yet. I don't know if it's on Netflix. Let me know if it's any good. So that's going to do it for this episode of Movies on the Run. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Enjoy your movies.